Guys, YouTube is an amazing channel for your business, no matter what your industry is or how big your company is. And once upon a time, I worked for a brand and started a YouTube. And within a year, I grew it to 20,000 subscribers. I did all this with very little strategy in the beginning. And in this episode, I'll tell you exactly what I did and why having a YouTube channel for your business is an amazing strategy for storytelling, for generating traffic, generating leads, all that stuff. And I'll also share how one video I created that started as a joke ended up being one of the most popular videos on the channel. It's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. And now you might be thinking, Mel, 20,000 subscribers? That's cool. That's cute. Good for you, but that's not like this huge success story where, Mr. Beast has millions of subscribers or people have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And that is the point, my friends. The point of this podcast is to show these struggles and the messiness, and we're getting realistic about all of the struggles that businesses and creators have when they're incorporating content like video or trying to tell a story about themselves or their brands. But we're also looking at YouTube as a strategic storytelling channel for branding, awareness, audience traffic, and if done right, then you can do a lot with 20,000 subscribers. You can do a lot with 10,000 subscribers. And because my pain is your gain, I'm sharing this episode as kind of a case study and examining what worked and what flopped so that you can benefit and use it for your business should you decide to go down that path. I'm also here because I want to tell you to just imagine the possibilities, right? If you had an idea of what you were getting into and someone made the mistakes before you, you could do this. It took me a year, right? You could do this so much better than me, so much faster than me, and be even more successful with a plan, with a strategy, knowing what not to do and having some inspo of what to do. Hey there, I'm Melody Bose, your host of Jeans with a Blazer, a podcast about rewriting the rules of work and life. All right, so before I move on, I want to make something super, super clear because we love a transparent queen, and I did just call myself a queen, get over it. This episode, I talk about how I grew a YouTube for a company. Another thing I want to be super clear about is this was not an individual project that I did by myself. I was not out there with a tripod. I was by no means a one-woman show, although it absolutely could be. And I say this because I had resources outside of just myself. And while I led the content strategy and the YouTube channel and all the other content that we produced for the company I worked for, I worked with a team. I had people to bounce ideas off, video editors, other marketers, other experts too. And that's not to say that as an individual, you can't look at this strategy and make it work for you if that's something that you wanted to do. You absolutely can. So individuals do this all the time with just a phone and an internet connection. And, in fact, people make faceless YouTubes all the time with AI and they're successful and profitable. So while all of this is related, it's good to look at things from the top down and just see, okay, what's working here? What could I take that applies to me? And what could I leave behind that maybe doesn't make any sense? So I'll try to be super clear about that in this episode. Particularly for this episode, if you work in a business that's considering going down the path of creating video, or you're a business owner with the same goal and you want to understand the benefits and how to approach it strategically, and you're not sure where to start, this is the episode for you. So this is something that I now do professionally, helping organizations with their content and video strategy. And what I'm talking about today are the lessons that I learned when I first started. Okay, so I knew little to nothing about YouTube. And if that's you, this is also for you. If you want to create video for your organization and you don't want to waste time or money or resources making the same mistakes I did, keep on watching. Okay, so context. Several years ago, I was working in a corporate setting. I decided I wanted something different, and I kind of made that leap. I talk about a really embarrassing fail in a previous episode that you should absolutely check out just to laugh at me. But after getting humbled by the real world, I landed where I actually really wanted to. And it was the polar opposite of corporate. It was in a startup space. I went from just a team in a department of 60 people to being employee number 2 at this startup. And it was basically an incubator that the founder who started the company, he created as a side project. And when I say incubator, like, it was literally an incubator. He had several other businesses, and in the company's office, where there was this glass room that was converted from like an office or meeting space with some tables set up, and iMacs, and like all the walls were just whiteboarded, very, very HBO Silicon Valley coded. And it was just, how corporate has all these kind of rules and politics. This was the totally opposite experience. It was like happy hour Fridays, popping champagne in the office. It was just like, oh, I didn't even know that companies do this. Probably shouldn't have, but whatever, it was fun. So this startup, the concept of it was a content brand. And it basically was a blog that served as the umbrella brand to create high value content. And then underneath it, there were several e-commerce brands. And the idea of it was to have these e-commerce companies that sold products that all reached a specific audience that was in this similar umbrella, right? So because we're not gatekeeping, it was in the yoga, health, and wellness space. And the products and brands we were going to launch were things like natural yoga mats, healthy fitness teas, crystal meditation jewelry, things like that. So now you know. I hate it when people talk about like these vague things that they do and they don't go into detail of like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, I feel like I'm always asking questions of like, well, can we drill down deeper? So if I'm ever talking about anything and you want me to get clearer about something, then let me know. And I'll make another episode or try to go in depth or do a Q&A on Instagram. Okay, so side note, tangent. This business model was ultimately very simple. Create high content value, drive people to the blog, and then ultimately market our products to them, right? So we still had to develop the products and the brands to go under this umbrella brand. Actually, only one of them existed at the time. But the step one was to launch this blog and get traffic to it. So I was hired as a social media manager, but anyone who has ever worked in a startup knows that you wear multiple hats. So I was not just the social media manager. I was the main copywriter for all of the web content, the product descriptions, the packaging. I did content strategy. I did a lot of things. In addition to that, I was the editor of the blog. The unique thing about this startup is that we had access to the founder's staff in his other companies, which were all in the same office. So there were other employees like designers and web developers that we would work with to create everything, like the website and eventually the product packaging and things like that. So we weren't totally on our own, but when I say small team, like it was a small team and we were grinding. And when I say I was employee number 2, employee number 1 was this very icy, very beautiful Ukrainian girl who was still learning English. And she's one of those people that you walk into a room and she's the most brilliant person in the room. To this day, she's a very good friend of mine, and we trauma bonded over some of the craziness that happened at this startup and just the trials and tribulations of trying to grow a successful company. So there's that. And I can make another episode about how we developed products and all that, but I want to stick to the point for this. Just let me know at Jeans with a Blazer on Instagram. We're going to fast forward all of that to the YouTube channel. Okay, so the founder had hired a professional full-time photographer / videographer who took the photos for our products once we developed them. And the blog eventually started getting decent traffic, but we wanted to be more dynamic than written content. So we brainstormed, we came up with this idea for a yoga challenge on social media that we would create videos for and also use in articles and create an ebook that we would also try and market. So I never had the intention of trying to monetize this YouTube channel. I didn't even think we could at the time. I didn't know anything about YouTube. Didn't have a strategy. We just needed a public place to put our videos. So, YouTube, that makes sense. And that is where the half-baked idea of YouTube came in. But it took on a life of its own and eventually became a pretty decent source of traffic. And it started generating revenue by almost complete accident. I wasn't even trying at first. So I'm going to get into it and also tell you why having a YouTube for your business is just a great strategy, in addition to all the mistakes and things that I did right. But I'll also share some strategies for creating content that you can use. But first, if you are a modern professional and you struggle with things like imposter syndrome, burnout, or want the skills to help you take your next bold move, I have a ton of resources that I'll link to them in this episode description if you want to check them out. Okay, so why should you have a YouTube channel for your business or organization or brand? It doesn't matter what your industry is. It doesn't matter what your demographic is. It doesn't matter what service you have or what product you sell, because YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. And we have to ask ourselves, well, okay, why do businesses exist? To solve a problem, right? Why do people go on YouTube? To solve a problem. Are you bored? Search husky howling videos. You will literally die of laughter. Or conspiracy theories, whatever. Do you need to learn how to make a DIY herb garden? Watch a tutorial video. Do you want to learn how to master a bold eye and a smoky lip? Endless basin of knowledge. And your demographic, chances they pop into YouTube. All right, so we're going to bring in some data. First anecdotal. My 70-year-old Navy veteran stepdad, he watches history documentaries on YouTube and Harley motorcycle videos. My 14, 16, and 18-year-old nephews who live in France, they watch things like Mr. Beast. They're easy to reach. So around 22% of global YouTube users are between the ages of 24 and 35. And the lowest demographic, age 65 plus, account for around 10%. Okay. But I just gave you a couple different demographics, and guess what? 10 million people engage with YouTube every single day. So even if your target demographic is the lowest group that uses YouTube, you can still reach 1 million people every single day for free. I mean, you use resources to create your videos or whatever, but you have a platform. Why wouldn't you use it? Not only that, you have a chance to connect with an audience and build a community and create a whole revenue stream, multiple revenue streams. And if you're not showing up on YouTube, there's a good chance your competition is. We don't like that. All right, so I'm going to get right to it and talk about the mistakes that I made. So hopefully you don't make the same ones. All right, initially, you kind of knew this, but no launch strategy. So basically putting a video on YouTube and hoping that it will get views and comments and subscribers, you could do that. You could, but why waste your resources when you've got an imagination and a plan? So I had no idea what I was doing with YouTube when I started using it for the company, and this was in like 2016. The first few videos that I published were yoga pose videos that were like 10 seconds long. I'm pretty sure there wasn't any audio or anything because like I mentioned, the whole plan behind it was to create a social media challenge for people to do and also put in articles and sell in like an ebook. And the point of the videos is to demonstrate like proper form and safety and everything. So the first few videos that I posted, the first 30, okay, let's just be super clear. The first 30 videos, it was a 30-day challenge. The first 30 videos were these 10-second long yoga poses. And this was before YouTube Shorts was a thing. So maybe that could work now, actually. Put a pin in that. But the thing about YouTube is that it favors long form content. And these short videos had zero context. It was just the title of the pose. And what I would have done differently is take all of those poses, stitch them together in a long video, and then have like titles and transitions between that. So you could just watch continuously this one video. You wouldn't have to like click to go to the it was a mess. But another thing to remember is the first few videos that you put out help the algorithm identify what your content is about, right? It doesn't know anything about you other than what you title your YouTube channel. Hopefully it's relevant to the content you create and the description you put in. But when you add the videos, that's when it really takes your content and figures out what kind of audience to push it out to. So yes, while the content was about yoga, it didn't really provide much value. Now I'm looking at it today and like, okay, just a 10-second video of someone doing a pose. That's cool. So the fix for this, I'm going to talk about the mistakes and I'm going to talk about how I corrected this. Okay, so the whole point of this is to show that even if you don't get it right the first time, or in my case, the first 30 times, the first 30 videos I posted in a 30 day time lapse. If it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that you should give up, right? A lot of people talk about, ditching their channel and starting over, and being really mindful of mistakes that they make that could affect them down the line. But you don't have to do that. You can keep going. And again, don't make these same mistakes. You'll start off much stronger than I did. But some brands or some people, they start a channel and they do it right. And maybe they get like 5,000 subscribers in the first month, or 1,000 or 10,000. It really depends on a lot of things like niche and just how you approach your strategy. But it took a year to get to 20,000 subscribers. Yes. But think of what 20,000 people who are actively engaged, think about what that can do for your brand or your company. That's like even if one video gets 100 views, that's like 100 people just like showing up at your door and just like watching your stuff that you create. And like 20,000 people, you think of that and like, okay, that's a stadium, I guess. That just goes to show that you can rebuild and YouTube will be forgiving. You just have to keep going and you have to keep looking at what isn't working and then trying to course correct and going from there. Okay, so mistake number 2, assuming that I knew exactly what people wanted to see. Okay, so I automatically thought, okay, it's a company about yoga. People want to see yoga flows because people who like yoga, they do yoga. We created videos. We hired like professional yoga teachers. We spent a lot of money on production, renting out spaces to film these beautiful yoga flows in 4K. We interviewed local yoga studio owners and athletes, experimenting with, so let me back up. Experimenting with your content is good, and you should always leave yourself some creative space to try out what works. But what I should have done is I should have come up with creative solutions to problems that our audience had, so that we could give our audience what they were searching for. I know that's like marketing 101, but didn't know at the time. So basically I saw Yoga with Adriene on YouTube, her videos, and just tried to recreate that. But the approach wasn't anything different. Nothing really stood out. Like, why would someone go to our channel instead of Yoga with Adriene, who had hundreds of thousands, maybe over like 1 million subscribers? We were just trying to like recreate that. Like, what are we doing? So how I fix that, it seems kind of like a no-brainer, but creating content based on audience demand. After I stopped assuming what people wanted to see, I did a little bit of homework. And one thing I wanted to point out is the most popular video on the channel was one that was responsible for more than 50% of the revenue. And this isn't the case for everyone, but I just wanted to call it out because it just goes to show that if you do one video and you do it right, you could recreate that and maybe get similar results. Whereas I didn't do that. I just kept trying different things because I honestly thought it was a fluke. It was crazy. And so if you're curious about what the video was, it was this deep dive into the chakra system and going over what each chakra meant, its color, its food associated with it, what to do if it's off balance, what to do if it's too active. And it was like a 30-minute video. And the whole reason why I thought it might be a good idea to create it was for the crystal, for the meditation jewelry brand, on the social media comments, people were commenting like, oh, like, what does this chakra mean? And I kept having to answer those questions. So I'm like, let me just make a video about this. I love how it took me so long to figure that out and not recreate it. Come on. So yeah, if you find a subject and a style of video that works, recreate it. See if you can recreate that magic. Now, sometimes there's these one-hit wonders and trends happen and you don't know where the views come from. But if you find something that works, try it again. And that's kind of the key point about all of this is, what is the problem that you're trying to solve for them and what answers do you have for their questions? Mistake number 3. No thought out thumbnail and really poor descriptions. So thumbnails are the first impression that someone gets of your video, and it can make or break a video. How people discover YouTube content when they're searching is they look at the thumbnails first, right? We're very visual creatures and we're drawn to imagery first. So think of the thumbnail as a hook to grab your attention or pique your interest. And then what happens after you look at the thumbnail and read the text that's on there? You go to the title, you read the title. So what you want to do is have the thumbnail have this promise that piques your interest, and then the title delivers that promise. And thumbnails, like, yes, they need to be thought through, but they don't have to be these like crazy, like super detailed things, right? Remember, they're thumbnails, they're small, so it just has to stand out. Like, study a little bit of color theory so you see what colors pop against other colors. And you also don't have a lot of real estate for words, right? Someone's not going to spend 30 seconds reading like a sentence that's on a thumbnail. No, you want like 6 to 8 words. And also the title and descriptions. This helps explain the video. Now we have AI that goes through videos and they can figure out what videos are about, which is crazy and a little bit creepy. But as a secondary to that is the title and descriptions, which should have keywords going over what is in your video, right? And my first descriptions were basically non-existent. I'm like, oh, this isn't important. What's important is just getting it out into the world. No, take your time and do descriptions. Think about it. YouTube wants you to succeed, right? Because if more people watch your videos, then YouTube makes more money. You make more money, YouTube makes more money, everybody wins. And the algorithm doesn't know what to push out or who to push out your content to if it doesn't have any context. So once I realized how important the video titles and descriptions were, I spent like a whole day going back and fixing them. And because there was already so much content, it saw a boost in traffic like almost overnight. That's when the chakra video blew up because YouTube figured out what this is about. Now they know who to push it out to. And the chakra audience just came a-running to us. And then all of a sudden, audiences were noticing our videos. And I thought, maybe we should capitalize on this. Maybe brands will pay us to review their stuff, and we can get products for free. Free stuff is a big primary motivator of mine. And it worked. I created pitch emails telling brands that I wanted to work with them, gave them the lowdown about what the company was about, and they started paying for these review videos. Should have charged a lot more, but just the fact that someone was willing to just pay for these product reviews, like this isn't new knowledge. There's tons of product review YouTube channels out there, but at the time it was a novel concept, for me at least. Mistake number 4. Changing niches. Okay, so we filmed some yoga content, and then there was this idea to do like a healthy eating challenge to kick off the new year. And we pivoted and started doing healthy food content. Again, pricey productions, hired talent, the whole shebang. And it seemed to make sense to me at first, because I thought, if you're into yoga, which I was, then you're also into a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating, right? Well, yes, but just because you do a yoga flow doesn't mean you immediately want to go watch a recipe about how to make a avocado blueberry smoothie. Not only did creating this new content completely confuse the algorithm, because the whole time they're like, okay, you guys are doing yoga videos, pushing that out to audiences, cool. And then all of a sudden, like, how to make chocolate mousse out of an avocado and cocoa powder. It was like, wait, what? So it confused our audience, who already came to our channel specifically for yoga content. And then people who were trying to find us, they couldn't, because it's like, okay, are you a yoga channel or are you like a healthy food channel? Because those are two different things. It's important to think about the content that you want to cover. Don't be all over the place. Build up a channel first, covering one main focus, and then branch out. But don't just like completely pivot and start doing a bunch of new series. Maybe do like one kind of spaghetti at the wall video here, another one there. Okay, so how I fixed this. After the cooking segue and healthy food segue flopped, I went back to the drawing board, and I looked at some of the most popular blogs on the website that had some of the highest traffic, and then I made some videos based on those, because people are already finding that content and they like it. Maybe they'd like a video version. And you know what? I was right. Rocket science, you guys. So then what I do is I would make the video on YouTube and then embed the video in the article, so people could read the article, consume that source of media, and then they could also watch a companion video to it. And then getting more momentum, I worked with our production team to create more solutions-based yoga videos. So instead of something called, where I originally had like relaxing yoga flow, I'd come out with ones that were like yoga for stress relief, yoga for back pain relief, things like that. Film tutorial videos, more comprehensive tutorial videos that actually had context, then branched out, had some fun with some product review videos, did some meditation videos. So you see kind of the cycle here is, okay, figure out what works, maybe try something new here, but then kind of stick to the script a little bit. Try something new there, keep going. All right, so all of those horrible mistakes. I'm a new person these days. I've grown a lot since then. Now I'm going to talk about just a couple of things that I did right. So what I did right was using the YouTube channel as an integrated strategy for communications as a whole. So I'll get into that, but first let me clear something up about YouTube. It's not this magic bullet for overnight success and instant traffic to whatever thing you have, right? If you're not already active on other communication channels, if you don't have things like an email list or a sales funnel or social media or like even a website, launching a YouTube channel and expecting it to generate whatever your goal is overnight is, to me, a recipe for disappointment. I see it as kind of like a spoke in the wheel of how you connect with your audience. So what I did is I used YouTube and I integrated it with all of the other stuff that I was doing, right? So every time I posted a new YouTube video, I would put that in the upcoming newsletter. I'd post some social media posts or clips about it driving to that channel. I'd put it on the website and call it out. So even if you weren't subscribed to the newsletter, but maybe you visited the website, you would see it there. If you weren't subscribed to your newsletter or never went to the website, but you followed us on social media, you might see something about it there. So there were multiple touch points to get people to the YouTube, and then using that medium to continue to develop the relationship with the audience and kind of keep them going, like keep them consuming our brand's content just in different areas where they experience life, essentially. And here's another thing I want to add is YouTube is a community first platform. Okay, so It's not just an audience building tool. Yes, it is very effective for that. But instead of kind of chasing numbers and chasing like subscribers and chasing views, think of it as a way to deliver massive value through knowledge or information or entertainment. And along the way, you're building a real, authentic audience who cares about what you're doing because you're thinking about that bigger picture. You're not creating a video to get more subscribers, even though, yes, that's the goal. You're creating videos to solve a problem. That's the perspective that I would empower you to think of. So when you focus on connection first, that's how you build your audience authentically, gradually. It's a long game. It could be overnight. Listen, I'm not going to make absolutes here. It could be overnight. That's cool. If so, then you don't even need to listen to the rest of this episode. Go make a avocado blueberry smoothie. But it is a long game generally, and over time, your videos get more traffic. Like if you're disappointed that you post a video series and it just gets like a couple of views in a day or a week or whatever, that content is still there and it's searchable, it's findable. So you never know. There are videos that blew up overnight just because it became a topic that people were searching for, or it became trending again and people found the video that way. So don't just look at the immediate numbers and see those as vanity numbers. So for example, talking about the authentic community part, I wouldn't recommend creating like your first video, making it a commercial for your business. Because what value does that bring? Like, oh, look at my thing, care about my thing. No, like, why should anybody care about your thing if you don't deliver value to them? You got to make them care, right? It's a long game. And so that's different than the trailer for your YouTube channel. There's so many different terms. Like, I don't want to go down too deep of a rabbit hole, but there's the trailer for your YouTube channel, which kind of gives an introduction of what the channel is about. So notice how I said what the channel is about, not what your company is about, right? So if you have a like construction company where you sell tractors, you don't say, hi, this is Bob's Tractors, buy my tractor. You could say that, hi, welcome to Bob's Tractors YouTube channel. This video is all about what happens if your tractor equipment breaks down. What are some of the things that you need tractors for the most? Do you need a building tractor to pick up building materials or to... I don't know anything about tractors, but you get the picture. Focus on the value and the problems that you solve for your audience. Don't make it about you. Okay, so I talked about how I use the YouTube channel to integrate with the other channels and drive to the videos and use the videos to drive to the blog and all that. So I can't honestly tell you how many of the subscribers found the channel just by being on YouTube, or how many of them were already part of our audience in some capacity and then were kind of funneled to YouTube. So if you have a decent email list, even if you have a small email list, so if you have an email list, a decent email list, or even if you have a small email list, use that to your advantage. Use that to drive traffic to other high value things that you offer. And, don't just present it as something like a new YouTube video out, like watch this. No, tell them what value they're going to get and tell them what problems that they're going to solve, or what questions it answers. Do you see the trend here? Like answering questions, solving problems. What can we do for you? What can we resolve for you as an individual? Okay, so the second thing that I got right was consistently showing up. So I posted videos once a week. Maybe there was a couple times where I posted twice a week, but same time during the week. It was, I think, Tuesdays or Wednesdays around noon. So our audience would be prepped to expect those videos, but also just having that consistent schedule of you're showing up. When you're not showing up, again, your competitor is showing up. They are taking that space in the feed of, your target audience. So you want to take up as much space as you can with the resources that you have. Like if you have the resources to push out videos every day and your videos are creating a ton of value, like do that. But for the company, it was a small company, doing one video a week, just it made sense. Another thing that I got right, along with just the brilliant suggestions of the team. Like I can't take full credit for all of these, or even like most of these, because it was all a collaborative space, but using affiliate marketing. And this means, like, for example, the review videos that we shot, where I would unbox stuff with my co-host, employee number one. She was my co-host. We would unbox stuff on camera and talk about them, and they were all like yoga related stuff. And then we would have links to those items in the descriptions. And if someone bought one of those items by clicking on the link in the description, we would get a commission at no additional cost to them. That's just like basic affiliate marketing if you're not already familiar with it. But it generated more revenue than AdSense on Google, which is when you get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you can start earning revenue on your videos. But sometimes it depends, but sometimes it's like pennies on the dollar. But if you have affiliate links to other products and a video blows up and it becomes like a top ranked video, you could be getting constant revenue from that. So that was really cool. So this is usually the part in my videos where I share an embarrassing story or career fail. And again, I would love to share with the audience if you guys have something that you want to share with me. I'll keep you totally anonymous. But yeah, for the first few of these episodes, I'm sharing my stories. But for this episode in particular, it ties back to the YouTube channel. And the lesson behind this, folks, is one, be careful what you wish for, and two, the internet is forever. Okay, so my best friend at the company, employee number one, the very lovely Ukrainian, she was on maternity leave. And she was going through a lot just handling this new baby. It was her first baby. And so I had the idea to make this really silly video to try and she spent a lot of, when you have a baby, you spend a lot of time with that child because you have to keep them alive. I imagine. I don't have children yet, but so she was kind of like in this new world, and I wanted to connect with her in some way because she wasn't going to be back to the office for a couple months. So I wanted to create this silly video that started as, oh, this might be fun to do, and then just working in the startup environment. Sometimes you have an idea and you can just execute it. So didn't really think it through. But I had an oversized unicorn onesie, this giant, almost like a unicorn costume. I don't know. Don't ask. But I shot a video called Unicorn Yoga for Kids, because I'm like, oh, when her daughter gets older, she can watch this video and do yoga with her daughter and just laugh at me, because I wanted it to be a joke. I did not want to take it seriously. I had also just gotten my yoga teaching certification, so I was really excited to teach yoga in any capacity I could. So there were a lot of things happening there, and the video, it was it took off. I know I intentionally put it out there, hoping it would get views, but not expecting it to do that well. And it ended up becoming the second most popular video on the channel. And yeah, it's out there. It's out there now. I'll put the link to it in the channel if you want to laugh at me, but it's ridiculous. Anyway. All right. So let's talk strategy. So you want to make a YouTube channel and you want to have a strategy behind it. You want to launch strong. You know that you want to be consistent and show up, have a plan, have a schedule. You want to package your video well, having that title, description, keywords, all that good context. And you want to integrate it in your communication channels. I might be forgetting something, but we're going to move on because that's just sometimes how it is. But your problem is you don't know what to create your content about. Well, I got you. So what I want you to do is list out 20 challenges that your target audience has. These can be challenges, struggles they face, or just general problems that they have. And then next to those problems, list out what your organization, product, company, whatever, what that solves for them. And if you're not sure, if if that is, you can't think of 20, go to your friend ChatGPT and list out like who is your target audience, and tell them what your company is about and say, what are some common challenges that my customer faces? Boom, you'll get a list of 20 and start from there. And I'll link out some prompts in this episode that you can use so that I don't have to read them word for word and bore you on this. So from there, you can use that as a jumping off point to start building your videos. And as another kind of layer to that, I also would want you to think about putting your content through 3 different pillars: to entertain, to educate, or to inspire. So for a lot of companies, the focus might be to educate, solve problems. But if you want to go at it from a more humorous angle, again, that's the time to experiment. Have your umbrella content and see how you can approach it. If you're a serious, more formal or polished company, like maybe, entertainment or humor is not the way to go. Don't just jump on trends and do what's cool. No, do what's authentic to you and see like how your audience interacts with your company already and how you can take that and translate it into YouTube videos. Like I said, I took the most popular blog content and made videos out of those. People are already finding that content, searching for that content. Maybe they'd like to consume it in a video. Maybe not. You won't know until you try. But that's less just throwing spaghetti at the wall and more just like focus strategy. And that's it. I can create another video to go deeper into strategy, but if you're just getting started, that's a lot of information to just kind of noodle on. But good luck to you. Good luck to your video content creation. And I know in every video I have a jargon jar where I go over jargon that I just cannot stand and that needs to stop. So I left it for the very end of this video today. And this is from a reader submission. Her name has been changed to protect her identity. So we'll call her Tara. And her jargon was flagging things. So flagging things like, if someone like has something that they want to point out for maybe like a later time, like I'll flag that, or let's flag that. Or I think I actually used a jargon earlier when I said put a pin in that. As soon as I said that, that kind of had a red flag for me. But anyway. So flagging things, and I responded, I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about flagging as like a jargon, but it makes sense, especially when used and abused. So I said, yes, that's super cringy. And she said, LOL, yes, so many people on our team say it, but there's one person in particular who lives for the phrase. Quote, I just want to flag this, and I flagged this last week. It drives me insane because she's not actually flagging anything urgent or concerning, just casually planting red flags everywhere like she's decorating for a parade. So there you have it, folks, a jargon jar. And that's it for this week's episode. I'll catch you next time. Next time on Jeans with a Blazer. Overthinking is not a flaw. There is nothing wrong with you for overanalyzing and trying to get 27 steps ahead before you even take step 1. Your brain and how you think, that's not the problem. The problem is you just may never have learned how to care for a mind that never stops creating. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. It's all about romanticizing the reset, doing the small but important rituals to shift your energy and get you back to baseline so you can do your thing. If you're listening to this and not watching this, I am not in my business casual, business professional. I am in a cozy sweater. But this episode is not going to be about tough love. We're slowing down. We're learning how to embrace the softness, because softness is just as important. It helps you tune into yourself. It helps you tune into your surroundings, notice more, be more intentional. Finding softness will help truly sharpen your mind and listen more actively and give you a chance to recharge so you do not burn out. That's a wrap on this episode of Jeans with a Blazer. If today's conversation gave you something to think about, a mindset shift, or just the push you needed, do me a favor. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave a review wherever you enjoy your podcasts. It helps more people find it, and it keeps these conversations going. And I love hearing from you. Follow @Jeans with a Blazer and tag me with your biggest takeaways, your latest wins, or just tell me what topics you want to hear about next. See you next time.